Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Kumar. I'm so excited to be chatting with you all today. I'm going to be talking about how customer success can be a strategic driver of the product roadmap. Before we get going, I'd love to do a quick introduction of myself. I work at a company called Jumpstart. We're a diversity recruiting platform. Prior to my time here, I was at another recruiting software company that I came actually from being an end user of. So I'm deeply passionate about how I can help my customers find success because I used to be on the other side of that. I live for startup life. This is my third Series A startup that I've joined. So really excited and passionate about building process and like bringing teams together internally. And finally, I love hiking, 20-minute Peloton rides. I love reading philosophy, drinking wine on patios, and baking cookies. Let's jump in. So the things I'm going to be talking with you all today about are aligning initiatives to your company vision and team OKRs, getting to know your audience, and really beginning with the end in mind when we're thinking about bringing initiatives to our product team, understanding the problem and not necessarily coming with solutions to our team, tying everything back to ARR and overall impact, and finally, understanding that the solution may be very different than the problem initially was. So let's go. Alrighty, so aligning initiatives to company vision and team OKRs. At Jumpstart, and I'm sure in many customer success organizations, my main goal as a human on our team is retaining and growing revenue and expansions and all of that jazz. We're really super focused on driving user growth. And then finally, as I mentioned, this passion for building things, like we're building our CS organization right now. So like one of our strategic drivers is just like building a foundation to scale. So that's how I think about how we're going to be really like presenting things internally and externally. So when I think about our audience and who I'm really talking about in this talk today, we are always thinking about our customers, but the internal team we're focusing on is really those product leaders. Of course, we're going to be engaging with engineers and designers and our customer success organization as we partner with them on bringing these strategic initiatives forward, but those product humans are really our main focus. And then externally, I like to think about the change management owner. So we've got our decision makers and our users and all these other people that are involved in the process. But when I'm thinking about like collecting information from teams and then like bringing things back, I want that to go through my change management owner. So when we're thinking about our audience, and this idea of beginning with the end in mind, I like to again think about this internally and externally. So before I'm bringing things to my product team and making all these recommendations and suggestions, I really want to understand these people and like spend some time getting to know them. So I offer myself very commonly as a resource to my team. I try to work really closely with them on providing early and continual feedback. And what that looks like is I like stalk people's calendars all the time or like different Slack channels to see what's going on. And then I'll ask if, oh, like, can I see your Figma designs? Like, I would love to give you some feedback from the product or from like the customer side and like their thought process as they would be going through this new workflow. Offering to attend like bug bashes, or if you got a QA session or user testing, being a part of that and helping your team as they try to break things and like just like sprinkling in the customer's voice along the way. Just meeting your team, getting to know them, letting them know, like I tell people directly, like I'm so passionate about building our product roadmap and driving things forward with you. Like, I would love to, partner with you all. And then externally, the things I like to really think about are with my change management owners, setting super clear goals for success. I think that's what, as CSMs, we're always trying to do, but just making sure that we really understand what will make them successful. Learning how they do change management, and understanding, like, with some of our partners that we're going to be working with, if we need to get on their product roadmaps for different things as well. And then just communicating very transparently. I think this is important early on in the process because it makes the end of your process, once you're on the product roadmap, a lot easier and more seamless. We'll get to that more in a bit. All right. So this idea of not coming with solutions, but coming with very well documented problem statements. I think about this from two different places, a high level place and also like a very tactical place. So when I'm thinking about this high level, I, as a CSM, and I'm working with partners, I really try and look for patterns amongst amongst my customer base. So things that are outside of, like, oh, Erin, this is a great opportunity for change management, more along the lines of, like, oh, this, like, functionally really just doesn't jive with my customers. And so I start to look for those patterns. And once I've noticed this pattern like a few of my customers, then I go back to them and I start to do some research. So when I was chatting through this with one of my product managers, and this idea of doing research and what that looks like and what you're really looking for, and product people will go into, feedback sessions or user testing sessions, and they're just consistently digging in and asking why. Oh, why do you do this way? What does that look like? Just like going in. And one of my original product leaders, who actually trained me as a CSM initially, he told me about the 5 whys, which is literally just asking why 5 times. But having that kind of a mindset when you're going in to these customer sessions, because in the end, like, what you're bringing back needs to serve your product team. And so asking questions the way they would will really help you present information the way that they would digest it. So that's like this whole idea of interviewing your customers. And when I do these interviews with my customers, I also like to set very clear expectations that I'm collecting a data set. I have established that this might be a larger problem through our customer base, and I'm going to be presenting information to my team eventually. Not promising that we're going to solve the exact problem that they've identified, but just being very clear that we're going to be looking at this from a holistic customer view. And we really deeply appreciate all of your help going through this. And that's how I'll do those interviews. And then finally, taking this back and presenting all of my research to my internal team. So when I'm thinking about that, again, coming with like documented problems, I'll create these 10 plus page documents with all of my different research. I start with a problem statement, this statement that I feel like is the holistic vein throughout my customer base, what I'm hearing, what my other teammates are hearing, and like, this is the main meaty issue. I also like to do related challenges, because in my mind, there's like these 5 things that are all like, this is all one problem, but I know that my product team is going to break this apart into much smaller pieces. So if I, instead of having a problem statement that's 7 problems in one, have my main guiding principle of the issue here, and then all of my related challenges, it will allow my product team to say, oh, this aligns with this pod's work, and this aligns with that pod's work. But they're able to break it down a little bit more. So then I know I've said like 3 times, don't come with solutions. However, when presenting a problem statement, I do like to come with what maybe my customers have suggested as potential solutions, what I think would be a great solution based on what I'm hearing from this myriad of different people. Not so much because I think that this is going to be the end all be all solution, but because I think it creates one, this idea that like I've put intention behind this, and two, maybe a jumping off point for them to start creating and thinking about different ideas. And then finally, I'll add in all of my different customer research. So when I'm bringing something back to my team, I'm trying to have, 10 plus interviews of different groups, so that I know that this is a meaty enough and holistically thought out challenge. So we'll document all of that there. So the next thing I think about is show them the money, which kind of showing your product team that as needed, but really as like a customer success team, if you all are working together to determine what you're going to strategically bring to your product team after you've been collecting feedback from different sets of customers, I think that it's really important to one, just start documenting all of this feedback and making sure that like as a CS team, you're all kind of working out of the same place, whether that's like a CRM or a spreadsheet or whatever the case may be. Finally, like calculating all of the ARR that's involved. Because if you have at-risk renewals, or if there are like at-risk accounts in general, like this is something that is just another data point that is helpful to share with your team. So we have collected this all. We do it in a spreadsheet, and it's not quite this clean looking, but I put this together because I think it's really important to outline all of your problem statements, understand all of the partners that are either requesting this or impacted by this or facing really big challenges with this, and then adding up all of their ARR. And then the thing here that's really important is the prioritization. Our product teams are so incredible at prioritizing that if we have come to them saying like, yes, these are all the 5 things that need to change, like that's not always going to be the way to position this. If I can say like, we've been getting a lot of feedback and this is the one thing that we really want to prioritize and bring to you because we think that it's a strategic initiative that's going to push the company and our current customers and our future customers forward. I found that they're more receptive to this very thoughtful and more philosophical thought of like how we're prioritizing and thinking through these things. So, okay, you've done all of this, your product teams comes back to you and they're like, wonderful, this thing that you have talked to us about is like being put on the product roadmap. And what I've found is that so often the solution to the problem that I showed to them or brought to them initially is so different than my request. And this is because like as customer success humans, like yes, we are thinking strategically and future, and but really like we're working with our customer base, we're working to retain our customers, to grow our customers, and but they've already signed a contract, they're with us already. Product is thinking quarters ahead, they're thinking vision and where we're going, and these next things that really aren't a part of our day to day. And so a lot of times when my product team brings something back to me, they're like, awesome, Erin, you get to let your customers know that we're looking to do user testing sessions now, and we'd love their feedback. It's often very different, like what I'm going to be bringing back to people than what my product team, like what I initially brought to them. So if we didn't begin with the end in mind and really set expectations with our customers, I think that this can really quickly become one of those areas where you lose a lot of trust with your customers because they've told you all their problems. You didn't set correct expectations. And now you have to kind of come back to them like tail between your legs and, hi, customer. So, like, we couldn't do exactly what you wanted, but we've done this, instead of coming back to them and being like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, we set correct expectations along the way. And now I get to go back and say to my customers, like, we're implementing all of these things that you've talked to me about that are huge challenges for your team. And so I now want to bring you in to talk to my product team, and we would love to have more of your input into this, so that we can really like build this thing that will benefit you and our larger customer base. And I think that it's just like the way you set yourself up for this earlier on in the process is going to make all the difference when you're going back to your customer base and letting them know all of these new and exciting things that are really being built and generally will benefit them so much more than the very limited fix they or you could have thought about. So, those are some of the ways that I have worked with my product team and my teams internally to strategically have an impact on our product roadmap. Thank you all so much for your time. If you have any questions, comments, or good jokes, I would love to stay connected. I've got a little bit of extra time here, so I'm sure we can answer some of those now. Otherwise, like, connect with me on Peloton, follow me on LinkedIn, and I'd really love to continue chatting with you all. Enjoy the rest of the day.
I think today is the first time I've ever seen a Peloton handle going up on a slide deck. So well done for that.
Thank you.
No, that was great. That was really good. I really appreciate it. And I will add you. I got one the other day, so here I am.
Great.
So I need to spend more than 20 minutes on it, though. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, I ride pretty inconsistently, so don't you worry.
Nice. So you talked a lot about, not bringing the solution. That I think if there was one thing to kind of build everything around, it was, bring questions, bring problems, don't bring solutions. And I think that makes a ton of sense for folks internally. And you might have talked about this in the session. I was multitasking a little bit, but there's a few questions in the chat of, well, what if the customer brings the solution? Like, should we bring their solution? Like, how do you think about that? Customers are always, giving me solutions to everything. And in fact, some of you have given me solutions to the chat and how we can make, this session better next year. But how do you think about that? Do you bring customers proposed solutions to product? What are your thoughts? How do you handle that?
Yeah, definitely. So in the document that I send over, I will add a section of potential solutions. I like to let my product team know that me and my customers have a lot of ideas about how this could go. But I think that where I found a lot of challenge is when me and my customers are pigeonholing my product team
Yep.
into this space that like doesn't allow them the creativity or the opportunity to think more holistically. And so even if your customers have their solution, I like to thank my customer for their solution to the problem because I know that they've probably spent a lot of time thinking about it.
Sure.
But I really like to let them know that we're going to be thinking about this holistically, from our entire customer base, and my product team will do the best they can to make sure that we're incorporating all of their thoughts and suggestions. And when we do have user feedback sessions, I'd be happy to bring them in to impact that more.
Makes a ton of sense. Last question: Who's the Peloton instructor I should follow? Who's the one I should?
Oh my gosh, Cody Rigsby, of course.
Who is it? I didn't get it.
Cody Rigsby.
Cody Rigsby. Sign it up.
Love.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, cool. Really appreciate you taking the time, and I learned a ton. We will send out the recording. We'll send out the slides. So I know a bunch of you have been asking about that. So we'll definitely put that together, send that out. We won't get that out right away. Keep an eye on your inbox.